Class 1 railroads in the US can be extremely annoying, especially when attempting to build passenger rail. Whether it be high-speed rail, regional rail, or even light rail, there always seems to be a problem. These problems can range from self-cannibalization to straight up refusing to upgrade their infrastructure. But the case in Atlanta is different. The city of Atlanta and its community members are in a strategic battle with CSX, and the question I'm going to answer today is why.
Well, the debate continues tonight over whether to expand Atlanta's streetcar. Right now, the streetcar travels around downtown Atlanta and Auburn Avenue.
But a recently greenlit proposal would have it travel along the BeltLine towards Midtown.
Please exit through the rear door.
Doors open.
Welcome to the Atlanta BeltLine, episode number 3. Today we're going to talk about the Southeast Quadrant. Construction of the Southeast Quadrant started in 1898 by the Atlanta and West Point Railroad as a way to bypass the central business district of Atlanta and as a connection between the Hulsey Yard and Oakland City. Hulsey Yard was originally built by the Georgia Railroad and is located on the northern edge of the Southeastern Quadrant. Hulsey Yard is strategically placed in the junction between the Northwest Quadrant, the Southwest Quadrant, and Atlanta's Central Corridor from Howell Junction. Because of this, the rail yard was a main transfer point for rail traffic coming into Atlanta. The goal of Hulsey was to reduce the amount of traffic moving to and from the eastern approach through the city center. When the Georgia Railroad built Hulsey Yard, it was fitted out with a roundhouse and everything. But that was all demolished when the rail yard was repurposed for intermodal traffic. In the past few decades, Hulsey Yard functioned as a CSX intermodal terminal, which utilized both trains and trucks to transfer goods coming into the city and used to rank 7th in freight volume for CSX. Nowadays, CSX has somewhat abandoned the yard. The reasoning behind it being that CSX's Fairburn Yard, an absolutely massive intermodal yard in Fairburn, Georgia, was significantly upgraded, becoming CSX's go-to intermodal yard in Georgia. Because of this, in 2019, Hulsey Yard sat completely empty for a year. The city deemed this as a problem. You may have noticed, Hulsey Yard creates a nasty divide between the Inman Park and Cabbagetown communities. Because of this, community members began creating plans to reconnect the two communities by redeveloping Hulsey Yard, and city officials urged CSX to sell the land for new development. For a while, it looked like CSX was going to do exactly that, but in a dramatic twist, CSX decided to turn the land into a transflow yard.
Stupid, I'm not gonna let you get the chance.
A transflow yard is a rail yard designed for transferring bulk freight, such as grains. CSX has already dismantled their massive Tilford Yard in the northwest quadrant of the BeltLine corridor for this exact purpose. The thing about transflow yards is that they need way less space, often needing less than a third of space than a hump yard or intermodal terminal yard would require. Because of this, the community surrounding Hulsey Yard persisted. At this point in time, it seems like CSX is just trying to keep the yard looking active, by either storing the overflow of containers from the Port of Savannah or storing the one-off rail car. The suspected reasoning behind this is to keep the city and the surrounding communities off their back until the land value has skyrocketed so that they can make a larger profit when selling.
Hello, I like money.
The reason I bring up Hulsey Yard in this video is because it's a major point of contention when talking about the construction of this project. The southeast quadrant of the BeltLine corridor will be the second quadrant that the streetcar will be built on, after the northeast quadrant. Here's a feasibility study for how to get around the Hulsey Yard from 2022. The feasibility study studied 3 alignments. Alignment number 1, Boulevard. This alignment includes 2 tracks from the intersection of Northeast Edgewood Avenue and Northeast Boulevard, all the way down to the Southeast Boulevard BeltLine junction, with a stop outside the Fulton County Mill Lofts, a stop outside of Grant Park for the Atlanta Zoo, and finally a stop on the BeltLine. There's some space to eventually upgrade the streetcar to have its own right-of-way to make it somewhat light rail, so I think this alignment is cool, but it has one massive problem. There's no connection to the MARTA heavy rail, which, I mean, is kind of a large part of this project. This is a problem consistent throughout the BeltLine project, as there are no heavy rail MARTA stations located at the intersections with the BeltLine corridor. And because MARTA doesn't want to build info stations on their heavy rail lines, the streetcar has to go out of its way in order to meet with the MARTA stations. Alignment number 5 and 10 are great examples of this. Alignment number 5, Hilliard Grant. This alignment runs in a couplet between Northeast Edgewood Avenue and Southeast Decatur Street. The northbound direction runs on Southeast Hilliard Street, and the southbound direction runs on Southeast William Home Border Senior Drive to Southeast Decatur Street, where it continues on Southeast Grant Street. The north and southbound tracks rejoin at the intersection of Southeast Decatur Street and Southeast Grant Street, near the heavy rail MARTA King Memorial Station, with connection to the blue and green heavy rail lines. The two-track alignment continues south on Southeast Grant Street under the elevated MARTA and CSX tracks, then turns east on Southeast Memorial Drive until it reaches Southeast Bill Kennedy Way, where it goes south to the BeltLine corridor. Southeast Bill Kennedy Way used to be the BeltLine. In fact, the section of the right-of-way that Southeast Bill Kennedy Way uses used to be quad-tracked. Another side note is that on the corner of Bill Kennedy Way and Memorial Drive lies the old Atlanta West Point Railroad Station. Y hoy en día es un restaurante mexicano. So that's cool. Want to hear another fun fact? Southeast Fulton Terrace Street actually used to be a dedicated streetcar right-of-way. This is why it's grade separated with the BeltLine. It too was also paved over. Anyways, for alignment number 5, there are stops outside of the King Memorial MARTA station, one on the corner of Memorial Drive and Oakland Ave, one on the corner of Memorial Drive and Boulevard, and one on the BeltLine near the intersection of Glenwood Ave. This is my favorite alignment, not just because of the connection to the MARTA station, but because Memorial Drive used to have streetcars on it. It's simply a nice callback to history. Alignment number 10, Edgewood Hulsey. Alignment number 10 continues as two tracks east from the Streetcar East extension along Northeast Edgewood Avenue, from its intersection with Northeast Irving Street. The tracks continue until the end of Northeast Edgewood Avenue, where the MARTA Inman Park Reynoldstown station is located, with connection to the blue and green heavy rail lines. The two tracks then loop around the parking lot, descending into a new tunnel under the MARTA and CSX tracks. The alignment emerges from the tunnel and continues at grade southwest along the edge of the Hulsey yard parcel, all the way to the intersection of Southeast Wiley Street and the BeltLine corridor. Both tracks continue south parallel to the BeltLine trail, enter Southeast Bill Kennedy Way, and continue in street until the intersection with the BeltLine corridor at Southeast Glenwood Avenue. There's a stop on Edgewood Avenue and Delta Place, a stop at the Inman Park Reynoldstown MARTA station, a stop outside of Hulsey Yard, and one on the BeltLine near the intersection of Glenwood Ave. Alignment number 10 is not my favorite alignment. It kind of goes out of its way and seems kind of expensive with the tunneling. But hey, I don't know, maybe it's your favorite alignment. Let me know in the comment section what your favorite alignment was. And don't forget to get this video to 300 likes for part 4. Part 4 is the final part of this series, and I saved it for last for a reason. With that being said, if I urge a like and subscription, I love you, and if you made it this far in the video, thanks for watching.
Doors open.